I'd like to call the October 9th, 2024 Town Board meeting to order. Ms. Marco, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Dodson?
Present.
Mr. Mastriani?
Present.
Mrs. Galucci?
Present.
Mr. Schwab?
Present.
And Mrs. Collins?
Present.
5 present.
Thank you, Ms. Marco. A quorum is present. Ms. Marco, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go.
Go then.
All right. Hope I don't mess it up.
Just a reminder, we have 3 public hearings tonight.
Just one. One for the court?
Should be. Thank you, thank you. Some of these do not say what they want. Jean or Joan Herman, is it just under privilege of the floor, or is it for one of the public hearings?
Privilege of the floor.
And how about Norman and John Kuffenberg? Is that privilege of the floor?
No, it's for the public hearing number 1.
Number 1, okay. Bob Godlewski, I'm sorry, I can't read what you're saying. Thank you. Okay, I think I have them all. So the very first person will be the Norma and John Kuffenberg.
Do you want to read the public hearing?
Oh, I'm sorry. It would be nice, right? To recognize the introduction of introductory local law blank of 2024 to amend Chapter 270 zoning of the town code for a change of zone request on plus or minus 16.19 acres of plus or minus 65.8 acre parcel for multifamily residential R3 to general business B2 to facilitate the potential construction of a flex warehouse space 2 plus or minus 12,000 square foot, 5 plus or minus 10,000 square foot, and 2 plus or minus 7,500 square foot buildings on a plus or minus 16.19 acres of a plus or minus 65.8 acre parcel located at 676 Marival Road and is a portion of tax map number 47.00-8.13.5. And I'm sorry, so Norman and John Kuffenberg?
Yes. I'm Norma Koffenberg, and I'm just here to gather information, actually, because my land borders this proposal number 1. And I have 2 little parcels, which are the triangles on that map. And I guess the things that I'm most worried about, that I don't know yet, is what the access and the egress to that area of this new proposal would be. I guess that the most important thing, like I said, is this is new. I just received this packet, so I really just want to see how this develops. But I'm concerned about the number of condominiums in that development, how large they are, what they would sell for, all of those items. But I say that maybe it's too early to know that yet. But I'm wondering if you are going to provide information on this, other than just the packet for tonight.
Thank you.
That's it for public hearing 1.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to close the public hearing.
No.
I'm sorry,
Oh, wait, what did you?
I am on the back of the list for people that signed in, Jack Essler.
All right, but
I had Arlene Street
but
on
that's-
there for public hearing number 1.
oh, but that's not Arlene Street.
It is in the way it's written up in there was Arlene Street too, so I
All right,
apologize.
I'm confused because Arlene Street is a resolution. They already had the public hearing for that.
Okay, I apologize.
No,
It's for
am I right? They already had the
That's
public
okay.
hearing, so the actual resolution would be resolution number
So under privilege of the floor.
396, right?
Under privilege of the floor, you
Right.
have an opportunity
Which
to...
that's what I put privilege of the floor. I was going to have you speak on privilege of the
I
floor.
just want to be clear, do you want to speak for Arlene Street or for?
No, for Mariahville,
Right.
the Flex
Oh,
Warehouse.
so you want both?
Public hearing, no, just a public
All right,
hearing.
so you want me to cross off Arlene Street?
When I'm, yes, please.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Public
Okay,
hearing
so
number
it's definitely
one.
not, so you're going to be talking for public hearing 1?
Yes,
Okay, now you can go, I'm sorry.
that's okay.
And I'll just remind everybody you have 4 minutes.
And if you could state your name again?
Sure, my name is Jack Essler. I'm the Vice President of Development for the BDC Group, the developing company that will be proposing the flex warehousing and is asking for the zone change here. I just wanted to speak to the neighbors' questions there a little bit. We are proposing condominiums in the back that would be roughly 180 units. It's 45 4-unit buildings that we're right now thinking of around $400,000 sale price on. The idea here with the flex warehousing is to create a nice community area that folks in that multifamily area, once we build it, can come to and buy a coffee or put their dog in doggy daycare or do a pottery class. These are the types of things that you might find in a flex warehousing area. So it's an amenity space to that multifamily further development. And we have a portion of our development as well that backs up to some of the town's property that we're hoping to incorporate a nice amenity green area and park space as well. Incorporate some of the waterfront there for folks to use and enjoy as well. So the idea is to make a one-stop shop, if you will, for the multifamily condos back there.
Could you just go back and, how many condominiums would be in that area?
It's 45 4-unit buildings for a total of 180 units.
This is a proposal too.
Yeah, so
This is a request for
just
zoning change of the proposal.
Yeah, just to be clear right now, we're just asking for the zoning change of the front 16 acres of the larger, roughly 65-acre parcel. The back parcel is zoned to right currently for multifamily. We're looking to just do phase 1, which would be the front portion changing into general business as a part of the overall longer-term development.
Do you have any idea how long the whole development would take, or is that?
Yeah, so right now, it takes years, it would take years to build, of course. We also need some infrastructure in the town to come into play before that's a possibility. There's sewer extensions that would come along that road in the future that would allow for the multifamily to be built out. Right now, the flex use, as we like to call it, is very minimal on the utilities of the town. Uses a very small amount of water, and we can put it on a septic leach field system that allows us for not needing any connection to the sewer. So the idea is we can start this project now, build one building at a time, let them lease up, and have it be a nice phased approach rather than coming in here and just doing all of the development at one time.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe that's it for public hearing 1.
So then I'll make the motion to close public hearing number 1.
Motion was made by Mr. Dodson. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Mrs. Galucci. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Mastriani?
Yes.
Mrs. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Schlag?
Yes.
And Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
5 yes to close.
Motion passed. Okay, clerk will read public hearing number 2.
for the enactment of introductory local law blank of 2024 relating to establishing an amendment and 6-month extension of local law number 8 of 2023 and local law number 5 of 2024, which established a moratorium on battery energy storage system installations and first 6 months extension to such moratorium within the town of Rotterdam.
Ms. Marco, is there anyone who wishes to speak?
There is not anyone for public hearing to my knowledge.
Does anybody sign up to put down the wrong thing?
I hope not.
All right, I'll entertain a motion
I'll make that motion.
to close.
Close.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Dodson made the motion to close, and Mrs. Galucci seconded. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Mastriani?
Yes.
Mrs. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Schlag?
Yes.
And Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
5 yes to close.
Motion passed. Next is public hearing number 3.
For the enactment of introductory local law number blank of 2024 relating to establishing an amendment and 6-month extension to local law number 9 of 2023 and local law number 6 of 2024, which established a moratorium and extension on wind generation system installations.
Ms. Marco, is there anyone who wishes to speak?
No, there is not.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion
Motion to open or to keep open or
to close.
Okay. Mr. Mastriani made a motion to close the public hearing,
I'll second the motion.
second by Mrs. Galucci. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Mastriani?
Yes.
Mrs. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Schlag?
Yes.
And Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
5 to close.
Motion passed. Now we'll move on to privilege of the floor. Ms. Marco, is there anyone who wishes to speak? And please remember, I timed for 4 minutes, somewhere around 3.5 minutes, you'll see my hand go up. If you could wrap up your remarks, that would be terrific. Okay?
Wayne Fitzgerald.
This is what Dr. Lee to clear copy.
Thank you.
Supervisor Collins, Town Board, my name is Wayne Fitzgerald. I still do not have an address. I'm here tonight to talk about the Whispering Pines project, and I just want to say, I don't want to be here to say what I'm about to say, but it needs to be said, because we were here 2 months ago and we still don't have any idea from your perspective where we are. We're very frustrated again, no resolutions for our project have been added to the agenda. We have no idea what conditions remain for the town to issue certificates of occupancy. Every time we ask town representatives, we are told we must ask the builder. Unfortunately, the builder is as confused and frustrated as we are, since the conditions seem to change. Several of us attended the town board meeting on August 14th with hopes that the town would help offer resolutions and get us into our new houses. Instead, the deputy supervisor turned his chair back to me when I approached the podium to speak and remained that way till I was done. He later cautioned us that the Second Amendment to the developer's agreement was just one piece of many closeout items. Quote, I would like to caution the future owners of property on this is just one piece of many closeout items that will need to be dealt with related to Whispering Pines. And that, quote, there's a lengthy checklist that we'll go through, end quote. He also presented a 3-page punch list from the bill that was just received on the 14th. On August 19th, I foiled the town board and planning commission emails regarding the Whispering Pines development project. I received a reply on 9/11 consisting of 41 emails from the PC chair Scannell's account. When I asked about the rest of the members' emails, I was informed that the planning commission members did not have any emails regarding the project. And I have yet to receive any emails from town board member accounts. Most recently, after speaking with the developer who confirmed that all the items from the 814 and subsequent 919 punch list had been addressed, and seeing that the DEC had approved the pump station, I emailed the board on 10/4 and again on 10/7 asking for what else needs to be done for a CO to be issued. I have yet to receive a response from any board member. How ironic. Since lack of transparency in town member communications were major issues for the current deputy supervisor from 2017 to 2020 when he and his spouse spoke in opposition at every Whispering Pines development meeting. I reviewed every appearance that they made. In town board meetings in 2018 and again in 2020, Mrs. Dodson publicly accused the developer of threatening her. She also stated that they found out that Judge Powers and the developer were buddies, which is why he ruled in the developer's favor in the initial suit. Then during the 2020 town board meeting, prior to the final vote, they accused Steve Signor of making a personal attack on Mrs. Dodson while explaining his vote, and challenged Evan Christow's integrity for changing his vote, resulting in a supermajority decision. These are not hearsay. All events are recorded on town video. Considering the amount of time, energy, emotion, and money that citizen Jack Dodson expended between 2017 and 2020 to keep the development from his backyard, it's hard to accept that Deputy Supervisor Dodson has been or can be impartial and may in fact be negatively influencing the progress of our future homes. If you are in our position, you wouldn't accept it either. Judy and I, this is just Judy and I, believe that the Deputy Supervisor is using his position to further a personal vendetta against the developer since he failed in stopping the project. Therefore, we now challenge his integrity and ask that he recuse himself from any decisions or influence regarding the Whispering Pines development. And we ask that going forward, the town be transparent and provide information that we request in a timely manner without attitude. I will close with this direct quote from citizen Jack Dodson during the town board meeting held July 2018 prior to that vote. It's going in my quote, it's going in my backyard where I see nothing but darkness. There's no streetlights. I get to see the stars. I look at this project that's compromising my quality of life, and I think in the end, that's what this is all about. And so do
We'll
I.
get more than 4 minutes.
Thanks for your time.
Very good. Very good.
Nancy Lawton.
Hello, my name is Nancy Lawton, and I'm a future resident of Whispering Pines. I didn't plan to speak tonight, but I saw an article in the newspaper recently that included a quote from Supervisor Collins, and that quote made me think of the Whispering Pines situation. The article was about a new development, and Supervisor Collins said, "I might have an idea how I feel about it now, but I always try and wait until I hear the public's response and talk to other board members and see what's best for Rotterdam." Well, in our situation, our development was approved years ago. So there must have been some consensus that it would be good for Rotterdam. But when I come to these meetings, all I hear is negativity, and it feels like no one on the board wants this project to be completed. We are so close, and people's lives are involved in the decisions you make regarding our development. I truly wish the board would work together with us to help us understand what needs to be done to get our COs and finally move in and enjoy our new neighborhood. Please, let's put the past behind us and let's start to work together. Please. Thank you.
Joan Herman.
Joan Herman, 23 Keeter Drive in Rotterdam. I'm here after 7 years and now another month. I can't believe it. And I don't recognize any of you because you were not on the board when this got passed in 2020. My recollection is that Mr. Dodson said he was going to run for the board, and he's on the board. My recollection is that he was going to get everybody off the board who voted for the project. I see no one here. No one is left. You must be questioning Mr. Dodson and his motivation. You must be doing that. Because if you have no knowledge of the project, I invite you to come over and see it if you have not done that. I invite you to come and visit one of the cottages if you have not done that. Surely you have aging parents, aging uncles, aging aunts, somebody in your life where you would take pity on those seniors. And they might even be interested in the project itself. Mr. Dodson, at the end of this meeting, I really would appreciate you describing the quality of life and the concerns that you had about your quality of life. My impression is you can't even see the project from your home. You cannot, I cannot understand what the quality of life in your particular situation is. I would like an answer to that. I think everybody on the board should be trying to promote this project. You should be proud of this project. It is unique in the state, as far as I know. It's an unusual approach to aging in place, and that's all we want to do. I don't believe there's going to be any traffic. We don't have children. We might have children visiting us, but that's it. At the end of this session, I look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you.
Kathy Conboy.
Kathy Conboy, 120 Fabian Drive, and you've heard from me before, and I don't have anything new to say, but I was in tears when I looked at the agenda and saw that you couldn't make 5 minutes to accept the sewage treatment system that's in place, up and running, all the things on the checklist taken care of, and still, it's October. We all thought we'd be in by the summer, absolutely at the latest. Please, please tell us what's going on and what needs to be done to move this project to completion. And yes, we all heard you, Jack, those of us who've been around since the beginning. You made it very clear. If you're still unhappy with this project, you need to deal with it because it's been approved and it's been in process for 7 years. We've had many other building projects completed in this period of time. We're talking about another, how many condos? This is a small project in its inception. We just want the cottages finished so we can move in, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sharon Fine.
Good evening. My name is Sharon Klein, and I live at 2262 Hickory Hill Road in Fonda. I'm here to speak about the Whispering Pines project, as I am eager, as my husband is, to become a resident of Rotterdam. We have 2 homes that were being sold to move into this project. One has been sold, and the other is about to be completed and sale in about 60 days, at which time I will be homeless. We were assured about a year ago that we would in fact be moved in. I guess I'm echoing the sentiments that I've heard over and over again tonight, and I really am trying not to beat a dead horse. I don't want to be negative. We're very excited to become residents of Rotterdam, but it just seems that it's never ending, and that we're moving in this space where we're not sure what needs to be done. I don't think we know what needs to be done. I don't think, in some ways, the developer knows what needs to be done. And it seems that we've got homes not mine currently, mine is still being worked on, but there are homes sitting perfectly finished, more than one, waiting to have the residents move in, and they're just sitting there. So, I really hoped to come here tonight and have a little clarity, have a little transparency and a little clarity. And I understand we're not on the agenda, but possibly someone could speak to what needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you.
David Hunt?
Hi, my name is David Hunt. I didn't see it on the agenda, but I was told there was going to be something about the dog park in Juraca Park discussed tonight.
Would welcome your discussion. Yeah, please speak your mind.
Well, I was told that it was added to the agenda at 2:30 this afternoon.
No.
The jet is
No,
pressed.
we purchased fencing material for the dog park, and we're
Okay, well, I'm a lifelong resident of Rotterdam. I've lived on Wildwood Avenue for 46 years. We have a dog. There's a lot of dogs in the neighborhood. I'd like to see something go forward. When I heard that one of the town employees was talking about it being a possibility, we talked amongst some of ourselves that we would go around and try to get petitions signed, or even try to find funding through corporate, Benson's, PetSmart, to see if we could make it go forward. Anything that we could do to help to make it go forward, or, we'd be glad to help.
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you.
Bob Godlewski?
Good evening, Board, Mr. Supervisor, Mr. Supervisor. I'm not here to talk about Whispering Pines. Okay? Unfortunately, several of my friends want to move into Whispering Pines, but that's not why I'm here. I'm going to start off by saying, we have a phrase in this town, Rotterdam is a nice place to live. That's why I assume all these people want to come here. And there are many contributing factors to make the town a nice place to live. It pains me to say this, but I've been here 70 years and more. And there are several departments in the town that have a direct impact on the quality of life in the town. One is our police department, who I have worked with over the years, and we're very fortunate because they make sure that we abide by the laws and protect the public. The second one is the planning department, and specifically code enforcement. They're supposed to make sure that we follow the town code when it comes to our property, whatever. Unfortunately, the code enforcement office does not want to enforce the town code in several areas. And I offer the following examples. And I will give a handout to the town clerk when I'm done. I do not intend to mention any names. I'm here to correct the problem. On several occasions, I've talked to them via email and verbal about my neighbors who don't seem to think they have to follow the watering regulations. I spent $1,000 to the point in my backyard if I could pump water. I had to pay for a permit. I don't know what the problem is. All right, but the season's almost over. This weekend, they're supposed to stop. Well, they never stopped. All right? The other one is, in my neighborhood and out throughout Rotterdam, people are parking their trailers in their front yards. Last year I brought this up to code enforcement and they took corrective action. They did what they were supposed to do. Poof. Here we are 2024 in the spring. And guess what? It's like nothing happened. a few of the individuals and put them right where they shouldn't be. I have talked to the planning. I've sent them emails. They're going to see their reply. It didn't make my day. All right, and I guess what I'm asking you, the Lord, is to direct code enforcement to enforce the town code the way it's written, not the way they want it to be, the way it's supposed to be written. I have a couple of handouts here, all right? I believe you're sending this out every quarter?
Yes.
I would suggest when the second quarter comes next year, you mail this out. And these are the door hangers and say, hey, wake up, Charlie. So I'm going to give these to you. I'm done. I know you got a long night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Looks like Dick Yingling. Sure, thank you.
Dick Yingling, I live on Eugene Drive in Rotterdam right now. I'm one of the many people under contract to move into Whispering Pines. Speaking for myself, I'm furious over the only action on the part of this board is to stall this project. You're not looking out for the interests of the future residents. Time and time again, you've come up with lists that the builder must comply with, and when those are met, you come up with a new set of lists. This has been a personal mission to either stall this project as long as possible or to bankrupt our builder. Mr. Dodson, you and one or two of the other members have been against this project from its inception, and it's a matter of public record. You single-handedly made this a personal issue. It has had nothing to do with proceeding in the proper course of action. Over a month ago, you came into the meeting late, and miraculously, a list was produced of items that had not been met, and no other board member had seen it until you showed up. You went on to tell the residents that they should not hold their breath waiting for a closing, and many more hurdles had to be met. Pretty much what Wayne said. As I said before, in our town, including single-family homes, condos, townhouses, and apartments, and there are thousands that have been built, none have been scrutinized and stalled as you're doing to this project and builder. You need to stop the games and issue the CO so that people can move into their homes. We don't feel we should have to come to these meetings and beg, when can we have a CO? You need to do your job, issue the COs to the completed project, and let people close on their houses.
Yes.
Resignation.
Brenda, I just want to say one thing to the people in Whispering Pines. Please keep coming to these meetings every 2 weeks. I'm being serious. Please come to these meetings. I'd like to follow up from October 2nd meeting regarding the low-interest financing. Supervisor Collins claims the town secured from the New York State Environmental Facility Corporation to fund Water District 5's upgrade. Let me make this very clear. I'm talking about Water District 5 only. But for some reason, you guys put in all the other districts. I'm talking about Water District 5. Collins publicly announced, I was here, publicly announced that the town had secured this financing or loan. And it was on the December town hall meeting. The same time, Mr. Dobson, you mentioned that the town got $4.7 million for the other project. My main concern is that the residents of Rotterdam
deserve truth over politics, especially from their elected representatives. That's the bottom line. I mean, you're hearing from a whole bunch of people, and you're not doing anything for them. The board, every single person on this board, including the lawyer and including the town clerk, are complicit with Supervisor Collins. And another thing, at the October meeting, when came down to whatever you guys do, the miscellaneous, and a resident talked during the miscellaneous. And when Mr. Dodson decided to tell us about these water projects, which he's just saying stuff to confuse the public, making no sense. So when I tried to get my 2 cents in, Supervisor Collins, you gavelled me. You literally gavelled me, told me I'm out of order. You can't have 2 sets of rules. One for the people that are nice to you, and one for me, who you do not want me to speak. This isn't the first time. This isn't the second time. This isn't the third time. I've been in Rotterdam 37 years. And, I mean, man, you guys lie. Why are you lying? I FOIA'd the town for information on the loan. Got nothing. Got close to 100 pages of nothing. I requested the letter of... saying that we got the loan. Right now I can't say nothing, but we got the loan. No, that didn't work out. I FOIA'd the second time. Got 4 or 5 pages. The award letter was not there, so I came to the town. I talked to Diane. I said, show me where the letter saying that we were awarded that loan. She said, well, see here, we got all these. I said, we didn't get the loan, right? And Diane said, no, we did not get the loan. And then she started spurting to cover her tracks. I got 30 seconds, fine.
You're over 4 minutes already, Brenda.
Yeah, stop lying to us. These guys are asking for transparency. Well, I've been asking that for 2.5 years. You guys are nothing but a bunch of liars. Every single one of you up here. Take that gavel and...
That's it.
Point of order, Madam Supervisor. Could we address some of the concerns of the people from the Whispering Pines project at this moment? Okay.
All right. Now we're going to move on to our resolutions. The first resolution is Resolution 386 of the year 2024. The clerk will read.
Accepting town board meeting minutes.
Is there any discussion? Do I have a motion?
Make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Mastriani. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Mrs. Calucci. Any question? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Mastriani?
Yes.
Mrs. Calucci?
Yes.
Mr. Schlad?
Yes.
And Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
5 yes.
Next resolution is Resolution 387 of the year 2024. Clerk will read.
To accept revenue for town clerk's office for September 2024.
Okay, is there any discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Dodson. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Schlad. On the question, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Mastriani?
Yes.
Mrs. Calucci?
Yes.
Mr. Schlad?
Yes.
And Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
5 yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 388 of the year 2024. The clerk will read.
To reappoint Jeff Nisako to the Board of Assessment Review.
Is there any discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Dodson. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Mrs. Calucci. On the question, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Mastriani?
Yes.
Mrs. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Schlag?
Yes.
And Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
5 yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 389 of the year 2024, the clerk will read.
To negotiate and execute an agreement with CB20 for Dell Pro Support renewal.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Dodson. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Schlag. On the question, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Mastriani?
Yes.
Mrs. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Schlag?
Yes.
And Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
5 yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 390 of the year 2024, the clerk will read.
Authorize the supervisor to execute and sign a Governor's Safety Committee grant award for the Rotterdam Town Police Department.
Is there any discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Motion made by Mr. Mastriani. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Schlag. On the question, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Mastriani?
Yes.
Mrs. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Schlag?
Yes.
And Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
5 yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 391 of the year 2024, the clerk will read.
To negotiate and execute amendment number 1 to an existing agreement with Barton LaJudas for professional engineering services for the Kiwanis International Park Waterfront Access Improvements Project.
Excuse me. Is there any discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Dodson. Do I have a second? I'll second that one. Okay. On the question, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Mastriani?
Yes.
Mrs. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Schlag?
Yes.
And Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
5 yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 392 of the year 2024, the clerk will read.
A resolution regarding the State Environmental Quality Review Act process amendment for the Town of Rotterdam Wastewater Treatment Improvements Project.
All right, is there any discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Dodson. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Mrs. Galucci. On the question, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Mastriani?
Yes.
Mrs. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Schlag?
Yes.
And Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
5 yes.
Resolution passes. Next resolution is Resolution 393 of the year 2024, the clerk will read.
To negotiate and execute an agreement with KB Engineering and Architect PC for the professional engineering services related to the leak detection survey for the Water District Number 5, Phases 3, 4, and 5.
Is there any discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Dodson. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Mrs. Galucci. On the question, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Mastriani?
Yes.
Mrs. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Schlag?
Yes.
And Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
5 yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 394 of the year 2024, the clerk will read.
To negotiate and execute amendment number 3 to an existing agreement with KB Engineering and Architecture PC Prime AE for the Sewer District Number 2, Extension 16, Burdick Street Map, Plan, and Report.
Is there any discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mrs. Galucci. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Schlag. On the question, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Mastriani?
Yes.
Mrs. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Schlag?
Yes.
And Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
5 yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 395 of the year 2024, the clerk will read.
To authorize the supervisor to extend the memorandum of agreement for the sale of water with the town of Gilderland.
Is there any discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Dodson. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Schlag. On the question, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Mastriani?
Yes.
Mrs. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Schlag?
Yes.
And Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
5 yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 396 of the year 2024, the clerk will read.
To adopt a secret negative declaration on change of zone application from single-family residential R1 to retail business B1 located at Arlene Street.
Is there any discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Schlag. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Mrs. Galucci. On the question, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Mastriani?
Yes.
Mrs. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Schlag?
Yes.
And Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
5 yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 397 of the year 2024, the clerk will read.
To enact local law number 20 of 2024 to amend chapter 270 zoning of the town code relating to a change of zone from single-family residential R1 to retail business B1 located at Arlene Street.
Is Is there any discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Schlag. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Mrs. Galucci. On the question, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Mastriani?
Yes.
Mrs. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Schlag?
Yes.
And Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
5 yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution number 398, the clerk will read.
To appoint Rachel Fisher to the position of account clerk.
Is there any discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Dodson. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Mastriani. On the question, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Mastriani?
Yes.
Mrs. Galucci?
Yes.
Mr. Schlag?
Yes.
And Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
5 yes.
Resolution passes. Ms. Fisher, do you happen to be here tonight? I don't think so. And that ends our resolutions for this evening. We'll now move on to liaison reports. Do any of the board members have anything they wish to say under liaisons?
Yeah.
Yep, Rob, go ahead.
Here we go. So the parks, the dog park, so that was approved, and there's actually a master plan for Jurassic Park that we will vote on to put in place of the improvements to that park. So the fencing will be put up, the dog park won't be opened until we can put the other amenities in there. Some trees were taken down to allow for that to go in there. So it's just a matter of time of getting that in place. But there will be other improvements to that park as best we can from a budgetary standpoint. So to answer your question, it was, I think we approved that fencing last 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So that's to answer your question, all right? Glad to hear some people are interested in using it. We always do these things and wonder, we're thinking there's a need, but hoping there's a need, but there's a lot of ongoing things that we're planning for, especially Jurassic Park right now. Just a matter of time and money, obviously.
Have you looked to corporate owners?
What's that?
Have you looked to corporate owners?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's a little tricky. Taking
To sign up? No?
private money. Yeah, I don't know how that would work.
Sponsorship and donations and volunteers, those are all things that you just can't have any ownership rights to the park. It's a town park, so if people want to make donations for specific things, they can do that. And if they want to volunteer or things like that, as long as we're safe about what we're asking volunteers to do, right? We don't want to make anybody do anything that's dangerous or potentially they're going to get hurt doing. But if it's simple things like trash cleanup or brush clearing or things like that, you can do that. And depending on what it is. So it just depends on what they're looking to do and what they're looking to sponsor and how they're looking to sponsor it, of whether we can do it or not. With town parks, it can get tricky again because it's town property, town owned, so it just depends on how they wish to do it.
I mean, I think, and again, the dog park, I think, is within scope from a budgetary standpoint that part of the park can be done, but there are a lot of other things that are proposed that may come down the road. So we're trying to move forward with bits and pieces of that, what I call a master plan for that park. You're welcome.
Anyone else under liaison reports? Okay,
I
then
may be
we'll-
surprised I do. Updates for both wastewater and water. Update on a wastewater treatment plant. The wastewater treatment plant is now designed by our consultant, and that treatment plant design has been submitted to EFC, which is the funding agency, as well as DEC, which is the regulatory agency. We're expecting that could be a review in 2 to 6 months. Once we get review comments back, the town will be proceeding with bidding of the wastewater treatment plant improvements. From the water system, $34 million water project. If you've seen, you've been in town in any time in the last 2 weeks, both on Altamont Avenue and Hellberg Avenue, you'll see that the contractors are out there actually drilling, doing soil borings for that project as part of their design alignment for the water mains. In fact, a project has already been submitted to the funding agency, which is actually bringing Phil in to start our well number 6 project. So that project is indeed well into design and approvals. And under miscellaneous, I'll address any issues that relate to the funding.
Anybody else under liaison? Okay, then I'll open up miscellaneous.
I do have some things. Listen, I did come out to Whispering Pines, and I did tell a couple of the ladies who were here at the last meeting, and I spent 2 hours with our code enforcement guy. I walked the entire property. The units are really nice, and it is going to be a big asset. I think, truthfully, I wasn't on the board. I can tell you that there wasn't a concerted effort to remove members from the board. Terry and I replaced Evan and Samantha. They chose not to run again. It had nothing to do with trying to get them off the board. So I was on there. I was there September 27th. I spent a lot of time there, and I think I mentioned to the two ladies last week that, I mean, it is really nice, and I can't say enough. And it was a pleasure to be there. To me personally, they're just, from what I saw personally, haven't seen a list, and I'm not in charge of the building unit people and their inspections. I mean, I can't speak to that. I went to the access road, and that access road is blocked with a metal tower and a tree. So, I mean, I know from a safety standpoint, that has to be cleared, obviously, and that's just a no-brainer. At the time I was there, the pump station wasn't ready because the generator wasn't hooked up. So from my point of view, there are things that, to get you in there, that just are just a no-go, or just a go that have to be done from a safety standpoint. And I don't know if the reflective numbers are up yet. I haven't been back there, but it is beautiful. I mean, I can't tell you, and I didn't want you to come out again and say, well, you haven't been there, because I have been there, and I've been in the unit. I walked through a finished unit. We went around, looked at the foundations and that. So, got my fingers crossed. The only thing I would say is, it'd be nice for the builder to come here and speak to us as well, as a board, because I haven't ever met him. I did meet the gentleman, Chet, that's out there. I think he's running the project, and very, very nice man. So that was my piece to say. So.
I would like to say something too. It's been my policy for the nearly 3 years that I've been here, and I take it you can't hear me. I'm sorry, I've got a miserable cold. I have never asked any board member or told any board member how to vote. Nor they don't take direction from me as supervisor, and they don't take direction from the deputy supervisor. I understand that you might have your own feelings on that, and that's fine. As far as me, I've been out to Whispering Pines a minimum of 4 times, I believe, twice with Mr. Lisi. I've met with him over the years. I don't see the numbering, the way that they're doing it. I personally don't feel it's safe, but I'm fine if our chief of police signs off on it, our building inspector sign off on it, I'm fine. So I don't believe there's anybody up here on this board that is trying to stall it. Probably by the time I end up my time on this board in December of 25, I'll be ready for the memory care. So I'm all for it, okay? I really, truly am, because I've had friends whose spouses have had Alzheimer's, and they were located in Glendale, which is a beautiful facility, but it took somebody who was well into their 70s to drive all the way through Scotia, good weather, bad weather, to spend he usually got there 11 o'clock in the morning, and he stayed until 8 o'clock at night. So wouldn't it have been nice if he could have just driven over to Helderberg Avenue and spent time? There really is no consensus, and I won't speak for the rest of the board, but I have never heard another single member tell me we're going to halt this project. And the thought that we aren't all individuals, because God knows we voted differently on different things, okay, to say that one person is telling us how to vote just is not true.
Okay, so what is the holdup?
Nobody said anything about this.
I'll speak my mind.
Do you want to have this, Jeff?
These guys are coming here every meeting, and they're coming here with the expectation that the town board needs to do something to help them move in. Exactly. And everybody that I talk to says, no, it's not on the town in any capacity. It's not on code enforcement. It's not on legal. It's not on financial. It's the private developer doing the project. The town isn't funding it. That we're waiting on approval from a third-party town-designated engineer. That's my understanding of the situation. Where my frustration is that these people keep coming here, and I feel like they're misled to think that the decision lies on us to do something. And what we're not doing is communicating effectively to them so that they understand what they're dealing with. So the misperception exists out there that the town is in some sort of conspiracy to prevent people from moving into their homes. And that is not the case. That's as far as I can tell, that's not the case. But what the case is we are not communicating to you guys what is going on your property. It's hard for me as a town board member, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a builder, to get every wrinkle of things on the checklist to figure out what stage they're at and where the development is. It is a massive project. It's not like putting an addition on your house. It's a massive piece of land with a lot of infrastructure going in there. I just would like to ask the administration that we do a better job providing the facts and the truth to these people here that are not stable in a permanent home situation. There have been multiple people that have died in the course of this project coming to fruition. People are suffering health issues. So I'm always like, all right, next town board meeting we'll have more information, but there isn't anything provided, and we're being accused of, I've taken notes of stalling the project or not being transparent or not doing our job in a timely manner. We're talking about the numbers. I go crazy talking about the numbers because they have nothing to do with this project, really. As far as, I don't know, is there still time to change the numbers if we wanted to change the number? All right, that's over and done with now. That's just the sale. But that's not what's preventing you from moving into your houses here. Nancy made comment, decisions that the board makes. There's no decision that I've made that's been in front of this board that we have to make with regard to this project. But I don't have the full clarity of what's going on, and I simply ask the board to be able to communicate. The question that was asked tonight, what needs to be done to move this to completion? I think we can provide that answer, even though that the town isn't responsible for doing those things. We can provide some clarity to you, and there maybe, when I met with Mr. Lisi, perhaps there's a need for a liaison with the developer to speed things up. I don't know. I mean, perhaps if that's still needed at this stage, but there definitely needs to be some sort of liaison to you guys. You guys come here, you sit through the whole meeting, and you don't have any answers. And what I'm hearing you guys say is complete misconceptions of what's going on, that there's some sort of conspiracy to prevent you to move into your house. So that's it. I just am asking the board to help provide the clarity that these people need in this stressful time in their life as we're about to approach the winter.
And that is all we have asked for months, and somehow you're just finally putting that message to.
And I'm so sorry for that. And
we haven't said that the board is holding it up. Some of us believe that there are certain members of the board who are interfering, and we're not going to be able to stop that based on what we know. But what you just said is what we need. We need somebody, the town designated engineer, to have the list. You guys can communicate. They're not going to talk to me. I've tried to talk to them.
they won't talk to us.
They won't talk to us. I've gone every way I can to try to get this information.
Yeah, let us discuss this internally.
So that I can hold the builder responsible.
Yeah,
too.
no, we get. Let us. We need to have this discussion here. And
You guys can provide
you guys are-
answers, and like you said, you're not.
We'll be available to talk more.
Is there anything else you have?
No.
Anybody? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to.
I do have other comments related to, I'm sorry.
Keep going to the budget meeting.
So you gotta close this meeting and go to that meeting.
Madam Supervisor, if I may just simply remark that the Veterans Committee is having a Veterans Day service on the 11th of November here at Town Hall, weather permitting, at the Veterans Memorial Monument at 2:30 on November 11th. And I'd also like to acknowledge members of the town and the town board for a very successful fall festival that didn't cost the taxpayers a single dollar. And the contributions from everybody within the town enabled us to have a very nice event. People wanted, the people in the community enjoyed. I'd like to acknowledge each of the board members for this being, fruit of the tree of the hard work that everybody's put together to, have success in our administration. And I'm sorry my frustration characterized by the people that keep coming here with lack of clarity, but I'd like to thank the supervisor and the deputy supervisor especially for all the hard work in the fall festival. I think is a testament to to things running well. That's all I have.
Anyone else? Then that concludes our business for tonight. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
A motion to close this meeting and to open the budget hearing.
Okay, motion to close this
Open the
meeting
budget.
and go into budget negotiation.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Dodson, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Clyde, all in favor?
Aye.